Matthew Chance is out front live in London. And Matthew, Ukraine edging closer to that long-awaited counteroffensive tonight. Already, it appears, dealing the worst day to Putin's air force, not just of this war, but in more than 50 years.
Yeah, and if Ukraine's got anything to do with it, there'll be more very bad days for Putin in the weeks and the months ahead. That Ukrainian counteroffensive, it's not quite underway yet as far as we can make out, but it is poised to take place. When it does, it will be with the help of Western training for its armies and, of course, Western weapons. On that, President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine has been on a European tour for the past week, and his officials are tonight calling it a huge success because they've got billions of dollars of military aid from Germany and more advanced weaponry from Britain and from France. The war in Ukraine may be at a turning point, with Ukrainian forces reporting daily advances in the city of Bakhmut, with Russian positions there apparently crumbling. Now the extraordinary allegation carried in the Washington Post that this man, Yevgeny Prigozhin, the Russian Wagner mercenary leader, offered Ukraine intelligence on Russian military positions if Kyiv withdrew its troops from Bakhmut, where Wagner has been fighting. Prigozhin has vehemently denied it, releasing an audio statement accusing comrades in Moscow of trying to discredit him. Even Ukraine has dismissed any talk with its bitter enemy. A senior Ukrainian official telling CNN that if Prigozhin had been back-channeling without the knowledge of the Kremlin, he would not be alive today. But these are fraught times for friends of the Kremlin. One of its backers, Alexander Lukashenko of neighbouring Belarus, here at the Victory Day parade in Moscow last week, is rumoured to have been taken ill, later appearing looking uneasy at a wreath-laying ceremony in his capital, Minsk. An official in Belarus told CNN he is, quote, absolutely fine. And now, new video said to be of Lukashenko at work, as usual, inspecting air defences. But rumours abound about the health of this ageing, Kremlin-backed leader. Meanwhile, a senior Ukrainian official is calling President Zelensky's European tour a huge success. This, the latest leg, with the British Prime Minister at his country residence, where attack drones and air defence systems were pledged.
I look forward to us discussing what more we can do to support you and your country.
First of all, thank you very much. You supported already a lot for us.
With British cruise missiles already delivered to Ukraine, Britain is now at the forefront of providing long-range weapons. There was no promise of game-changing F-16 fighter jets from any European power. Still, a senior Ukrainian official tells CNN that, in time, Ukraine will get the planes, the tanks and the long-range weapons it needs to win this war. Well, Aaron, that is contingent on Western support for Ukraine, including its continued provision of arms holding up, particularly from the United States, because even with the latest European contribution to the Ukrainian war effort, it is still the US that's the biggest, most important military backer for the country. Aaron.
All right, Matthew, thank you very much. And I want to go now to retired Lieutenant General Ben Hodges, because he's the former commanding general of the U.S. Army Europe, and also the former U.S. ambassador to Russia, John Sullivan. I appreciate both of you very much. So, General Hodges, I want to start with this worst day for the Russian Air Force, really, since 1970, more than 50 years, certainly, of this war. 4 Russian aircraft downed over Russian territory this weekend. What impact does this have, General?
Well, to lose 4 aircraft in one day would certainly send shockwaves through the aviation community of the Russian Federation forces, just like it would anybody. I'm interested in how this happened. It seems that Ukraine may have been able to infiltrate capabilities in there. Still not entirely confirmed how it happened, but if they're able to do that, that would really demonstrate a level of sophistication that will worry the Russians. But it's important that Russia not be allowed to have sanctuary to launch strikes that murder innocent Ukrainian people. And so the Ukrainians are going to continue to take action like this, I think.
And obviously to emphasize on Russian territory where this happened. Ambassador Sullivan, Putin's most loyal ally, you heard Matthew reporting on the Belarusian president Lukashenko. He said Belarusian air defense units were placed on fly alert after the downing of those Russian aircraft, right? He is there every step of the way for Putin, right? So Belarus's role as ally is crucial. And he is the dictator there. There has been such speculation about his health, though. 2 photos of him today. Appears to have a bandage on his left wrist. He obviously, it appears, fell ill in Moscow. If something were wrong with him, if he was no longer in power, what would that do to Putin, Ambassador?
That's a big problem for Putin. As you mentioned, Aaron, President Lukashenko has ruled Belarus as with a hard authoritarian hand for almost 30 years. And was a vital supporter of Putin's war against Ukraine. He's the one foreign leader that Putin meets with more than anyone else. I think he's met with him something like 14 times since the war started. So he is his most important ally.
So General Hodges, most important ally, but he had to leave that meeting in Moscow, it appeared, to take ill there. And he is Putin's closest ally. I'm curious, General, though, because you seem to think that the downfall of Lukashenko could actually give Putin something that he wants, possibly an excuse to end the war in Ukraine?
Well, I see it as an opportunity if he's looking around for an excuse to get out of this war that he is losing terribly in Ukraine. He could, the Kremlin is pretty good at manufacturing fairy tales to explain what it is they're doing. And so in order to justify why they might have to avoid getting crushed in Ukraine, to actually withdraw, you could almost envision a scenario where saving Belarus would be the excuse that he needs. Of course, I don't know that. What I would really hope would happen is that the people of Belarus would see the opportunity to finally throw off the yoke of Kremlin suppression as well as from their own president.
Right, and of course we should note, right, there are opposition leaders in Belarus. One of them, serving a 17-year prison sentence. It is a mirror image of Russia in so many ways. Ambassador, I want to ask you about that intelligence leak that I mentioned regarding Yevgeny Prigozhin. And this is from the Washington Post. They're saying that in the leaked information from that young man in Massachusetts, that Prigozhin back-channeled Ukraine, offered information about Russian troop positions so that the Ukrainians could kill them and that he could then take over Bakhmut. That would be the exchange and get the credit for it. True or not, let's just start with, how is this news impacting Putin possibly?
Well, it certainly, I think, would shake leaders' confidence in this criminal that they've put in charge of this mercenary brigade. Prigozhin isn't a military leader, and the Wagner group is a transnational criminal organization, so designated by the United States. This isn't a military and military leadership. This is a criminal gang. And to the extent that Putin has relied on people like this, he's paying the price now, with Prigozhin possibly doing this, and at a minimum saying things like the Russian Minister of Defense and the Chief of the General Staff, that they're traitors and cowards.
General, when you look at the state of the war right now on the ground, you come on the heels of Zelensky, right? You just heard him there thanking the British Prime Minister for the support, right? And you're getting those Shadow cruise missiles from the UK that give them more distance. You're getting the aid that you're getting, extremely significant aid from both the UK and from Germany. Do you think that the tide is going to change here or not?
Yeah, I think we're looking at the beginning of a major momentum shift. This didn't happen by accident, of course. Ukrainian General Staff and President Zelensky, and frankly, all 50 nations that support Ukraine, have been working very hard for the last few months. But it really was the Ukrainian forces that have managed to put together a large armored formation that's been training and preparing, while other Ukrainian forces held Bakhmut and allowed Russian forces to bleed themselves there. And then when you put that against all these the other good news that's been happening, you do have the sense that we could be very close to Ukraine achieving catastrophic success. I think this counteroffensive, 3 conditions. Number 1, are the Ukrainians ready? Number 2, have they degraded the Russians enough? And then number 3, is the ground ready? When those three conditions are set, I think General Zaluzhny will turn to his president and say, we're ready to go.
Right, a ground that is, not so soft from the melting. Thank you both so very much. I appreciate it.